The sun beat down mercilessly. Dust devils danced on the parched earth, mocking any hope of relief. Jed Coleridge, his face tanned leather from years under the desert sun, rode his trusty steed Raimundo towards the shimmering horizon. They were low on supplies, lower on luck, but Jed held onto a sliver of hope. San Felipe, a name whispered on the wind, a beacon of possible fortune in the desolate landscape. Jed had heard tales of the town, a den of snakes and saints, where fortunes were won and lost as quickly as a sunset. He figured it was as good a place as any to start anew. His gut churned with a mix of apprehension and anticipation. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of fire and blood, San Felipe emerged from the haze. A ramshackle collection of wooden buildings, it stood in stark contrast to the untamed wilderness surrounding it. The air buzzed with a nervous energy, a palpable tension that clung to the dusty streets. Jed dismounted in front of the most imposing building in town, the San Felipe Saloon. The air within pulsed with the sounds of laughter, drunken brawls, and the clinking of glasses. He could feel the weight of countless eyes upon him as he crossed the threshold, his hand hovering near the worn Colt peacemaker at his hip. The saloon was a cacophony of sights and smells. Smoke hung thick in the air, a haze illuminated by flickering oil lamps. Rough-looking men, their faces etched with hardship and greed, crowded around tables littered with cards and whiskey bottles. Jed, with the wary confidence of a seasoned traveler, navigated his way through the throng. He found an empty seat at a poker table in the corner, his eyes adjusting to the dim lighting. 3 men were already engrossed in a high-stakes game. Jed recognized them by their hard gazes and even harder reputations, the notorious Dalton brothers. They were a fearsome trio, known for their ruthlessness and uncanny luck at cards. Jed, though, wasn't one to back down from a challenge, especially when the promise of a hefty purse hung in the air. He bought into the game with the last of his savings, his face carefully betraying no emotion. The Daltons, sensing a fresh target, welcomed him with predatory smiles. As the game progressed, the tension in the room thickened. The croupier, a wiry man with shifty eyes, dealt the cards with practiced ease. Each hand was a battle of wits, a silent war waged with every raised eyebrow and carefully concealed tell. Jed, despite his initial losses, remained calm. He had learned long ago that desperation was a surefire way to lose everything in this line of work. He waited patiently for his moment, studying his opponents, memorizing their tells, and calculating his risks. The night wore on, the air thick with cigar smoke and the stench of stale beer. Lady Luck, it seemed, had finally decided to smile upon Jed. His luck turned with the turn of a card. A series of well-timed bluffs and calculated risks saw his pile of chips grow steadily larger. The Daltons, their initial amusement replaced by a simmering rage, watched as their own stacks dwindled. The air crackled with tension, the silence broken only by the shuffling of cards and the occasional muttered curse. Then came the final hand. Jed, holding a hand he knew could make or break him, calmly pushed all his chips into the center of the table. The Daltons, their eyes blazing with a mixture of greed and fury, met his bet. The tension in the room was palpable as Jed slowly revealed his hand, a full house, aces and eights. A collective gasp went around the table as the realization dawned on the Daltons that they had been bested. Their reactions were swift and brutal. In a flash, the saloon erupted into chaos. Gunfire shattered the night, the deafening roar echoing through the wooden building. The smell of gunpowder filled the air, mingling with the scent of sweat and fear. Jed, caught off guard but not unprepared, dove for cover as lead flew across the room. He drew his Colt, the familiar weight of the weapon reassuring in his hand. The saloon became a whirlwind of chaos. Patrons scrambled for cover, their screams drowned out by the deafening roar of gunfire. Jed, his back pressed against the bar, returned fire, his movements honed by years of living on the edge. He knew he couldn't win this fight, not against 3 seasoned outlaws. He needed to escape, and fast. His eyes darted around the room, searching for an escape route. The back door. He made a run for it, dodging bullets and overturned tables as he went. The Daltons, their faces contorted in rage, pursued him relentlessly. He burst through the back door into the cool night air. His heart pounded in his chest, adrenaline coursing through his veins. He could hear the Daltons hot on his heels, their angry shouts echoing in the night. "Raimundo!" he yelled, his voice hoarse. The loyal steed, sensing the urgency in his master's voice, galloped towards him. Jed leapt onto Raimundo's back, digging his heels into the horse's flanks. They took off into the night, the sound of their pursuers fading with every stride. The desert stretched out before them, a vast and unforgiving expanse under the watchful gaze of a million stars. Jed knew the Daltons wouldn't give up easily. This was just the beginning. The thrill of the chase, the ever-present danger, it was all part of the life he had chosen. And Jed Coleridge, hardened rider of the West, wouldn't have it any other way.